Oh,
There we go. Hello. Hi, Valerie.
hello.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to our, I was about to say annual, no, monthly new moon reading. Today is the 24th of March, 2020. And this is a new moon in Aries, which is the first of the zodiac. We're beginning again. It's all about rebirth. And it seems like it's quite a poignant time right now to have Aries rolls in the spring as we're going through this sort of collective process of shifting from the old energy into something new. So I'm excited to see what comes up. How about you, Valerie? Is there anything you wanted to say?
No, it's just a timely new moon at the beginning of the zodiac, in the middle of our worldwide pandemic, which, as scary as it is, it's very exciting because if we're going to have a new world, it has to be new. And at least the Earth, as we've talked about before, didn't shake us off like a flea. We're still here. So we're getting a chance to really break down and get back to what's important, and it's exciting. Painful, but exciting. Childbirth is, but like we know, the baby can't stop halfway, has to keep on being birthed. And so
Yeah.
we got to get through it. We'll get through it, and we'll look back and go, wow, wasn't that something?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
part of the process of birth and rebirth is surrender. It's always about surrender. Like, we can't resist this. This change it's already underway. So if we can allow it to be what it is and show us, be humbled by it, be open to what it's here to show us. I think that's what feels
Well, and the
important.
messages I've gotten, at least personally, is surrender and release and retreat and solitude. And it's interesting to me, I digress a little bit, how many people have wanted more time to do all the things they want, and they're 2 days into their solitude and they're climbing the walls. And society, our world, in the last, I don't know, who knows how many, 50, 100 years longer, it's business has become busyness. It's all about busy, and we've lost our connection to solitude and ourselves and listening and hearing and feeling and our sixth sense, which we all have.
Yeah.
But when you're got so much noise and so much busyness, you're not going to connect with it. So it's so valuable, but people really have to learn to chill. So it's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. So there we go. There's our wisdom for today. But we're
Yeah.
still going to read some cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm using the Good Tarot by Colette Baron Reed. And for the theme card, the Gaia Oracle by Tony Carmine Salerno. No animals this month because they're busy with something else. I put them on a different task. And which ones are you using, Valerie?
I almost grabbed my animals, but
Oh,
I
did
went,
you?
no, Jenny has hers. But it's all right. So for my theme card,
Whoops.
I'm pulling it from a deck all by itself. It's Work Your Light by Rebecca Campbell.
Oh, I love that.
That'll be my theme for the new moon month. And then for the 2 and 2, I just let it go how I go, as Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed and Earth Magic by Stephen Farmer.
Okay.
So
Cool.
let's see. All right. I think I'm going to do my theme card last. No. Are you doing your theme first or last?
Well, I've just pulled one, but you can go last
Okay.
if you want. We could do one theme at the beginning, one at the end.
Okay, that'll be good.
Okay.
I'll do that. Cool.
Well, what came up for me is loss, number 20. And the words underneath are grief, sadness, and resurrection.
Wow.
I find that really fascinating because 20 as well, of course, is the number of this year, 220s, feeling the balance. So to me, this whole process is about restoring balance within ourselves and in the collective and in the way that we interact with one another. And for me, it feels like this is a sort of collective catharsis. And in order to reach the other side of anything, the catharsis is necessary because it's a purging. You purge first, and then you open up to what is beyond. And what is beyond hasn't even been created yet. The idea is to release so that you are open, you're fresh, you're like an empty vessel ready to receive. So see it as a time of instead of sadness, just a time of coming back home. It feels like a coming home to who you are, really. That's what it feels like.
Well, and I think too, with all the shedding that we've talked about and the birthing, there is loss. And part of being with yourself is feeling your feelings. And so if
Yeah,
you feel grief about something you've lost, by all means feel it. Just don't stay there.
yeah, yeah.
Because
But I
it's all part of the cycle of life. So I think that's the big reminder. There's a lot of loss going on, a loss of, that's a good theme card. I mean, there's a loss of jobs and money and food and freedom perceived and all this kind of stuff. So
yeah,
it's okay to feel sad about it, but don't focus on that, because being in a new moon, it's about planting seeds for the resurrection, the new beginning.
yeah, that's right. And I
Mm-hmm.
think too with grief, I think what people forget is that grief is not about the sadness, it's about the love. It's about the love that you experienced for the thing that is leaving. So it's like it's always about love at the core of it, right? And so it's a beautiful kind of process of allowing yourself to revision, and in the grief, new perspectives arise. So
Right.
yeah. And it's interesting too, you talked about birth before, like giving birth to a baby, and you were saying, in every birth there's a loss. Before you have a baby, you are not a mother. So as you are giving birth, you are releasing the part of you that is not a mother. So there's not necessarily sadness in that. There's just like a revisioning of who you are. So it's like a constant process.
Everything in life is just a little mirror microcosm. I mean, and you go back to the birth thing. So you have fear of how your life's changing, and fear of taking care of that, and fear of not knowing what to do, and all that kind of stuff. And that's new. That's the new world. The
Yeah,
new, when you go into anything new. But as we know, you just focus on moving through one step at a time, and you figure it out as you go.
yeah,
Have
exactly.
fun. Have
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what a perfect card to start with. I
I
mean,
think so.
it initially feels like it could be it's a heavy card, but it's a truthful card, you know? We can't we
Mm-hmm.
can't gloss over the truth that yes,
No.
we are losing things definitely, and
Sure.
there will be grief. Okay, so let's move on to week 1. So,
I have my card.
oh, you do? Oh, okay, I'm way behind. You go ahead then.
That's all right.
Oh,
Mine
wow,
is
look at
Dree time
amazing.
and creation. So it goes right along with the new moon,
Mm-hmm.
which is, it's such a fabulous time we're in right now. There's new beginnings on so many levels. And the dreams that the dream seeds we're planting today are what we're going to be moving into. And so now it's time to get really clear on what's important, and and dream it and be big and fantasy, how you want your world to be. Is it about having food more accessible? Get down to the brass tacks of the dreams instead
Right.
of all this, I want piles of gold and piles of this. Well, there's enough for everybody in our world. We just need to get back to what makes us joyful and loving and caring, happy beings.
Mm-hmm.
And as we do more and more of that and support each other in that, getting back to the tribe and the caring for one another, all that other stuff that has been ugly in our world will start to fall away. But as humanity is focused on negatives for so much, it's time to bring back those daydreams, which is a good time right now in the solitude and stuff we're in. So
Yeah. The thing I noticed about that card is the color, like the brightness of the colors. And it feels
well,
like
yeah.
imagine a vibrant world full of color and magic.
And I love that it's an Aboriginal shaman, with
Yeah.
blowing it out through the music and the
Yeah.
earth and the colors and the possibilities.
Yeah. Bringing it into being.
And I see balance,
Mhm.
he's standing there in somewhat of a tree pose, but maintaining balance through it all. Your dreams help you stay balanced.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big piece of, people have lost, is the balance of dream and fantasy, because that's how creation happens. It
Absolutely.
happens in our imagination first, and we've been taught to that imagination is not valuable or playtime, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
anything happens, from science to a toy.
Yeah. That's very
Yeah.
true. Yeah. The card I pulled for the first week is the Five of Earth.
Mm.
And I love this one because I feel this deep sense of quiet, like deep in the forest, contemplating the simplicity of life at its very core. As if, well, this guy has become a tree, or this woman, I don't know, doesn't matter. This person has become a tree in a way. And so it is this kind of like, I feel like it's almost like we're releasing the whole, as if the collective as a whole is releasing what it means to be a human, and going back to the very nature of our beings, which is that connectedness, like to the core of the earth, to that peace that exists within us all. And this is a time where we've been given this gift of time to be quiet and to sit. Like I went up to the park today because it was such a beautiful sunny day. There was no one around. And I just sat and read the book in the sunshine, read my book in the sunshine. And there's hardly any cars on the road anymore. And it's just this sense of absolute peace. And you can just hear the birds doing their thing. And like, it just felt so connected, and sometimes I don't allow myself that gift when I'm busy working or thinking I have to do these other things. But right now, I have all the time in the world. Um, yeah. So it does feel like, because it's like these are the pentacles, the support is there. And as long as we lean into that idea of allowing ourselves to just feel supported in the physical world, to let our spirits get back to the nature of beingness, it just feels, I feel this really deep sense of peace with this card. It's lovely. So that's for this week.
Cool.
Move on to next week. And actually, interesting, like you were talking, you had the creation card. This is a beautiful place to create from, because
Oh,
you're
yeah.
not busy in your mind overthinking things. You're just in a state of like, I am a tree. Let me
Well, and
create.
it's grounded, it's real
Yeah.
grounded. Um, yeah. So for the second week, I have number 30, the Fire Fairy.
Ooh.
And this one's from the Wisdom of Avalon.
Yeah.
So it's about creative action and optimism. And fire, is passionate and burning off the old and creating at the same time. It's
Mhm.
burning, destroying, but it's creation at its, most volatile,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. And I believe
So,
Aries is a fire sign. So we're, heading into the season of that Aries fire.
well, and it's fascinating because for all that fire, the second week is so we started with dreaming it, and now the second week is take some creative action.
Mm.
Do something creative in the second week to support this dream you have. I mean, and even if it's writing notes or writing your dreams down, but creative action. I mean, we're still going to be uh, sequestered and all that. So, um, with optimism, I mean, find the optimism. There's always, it's hard when you're in the throes of fear.
Mm-hmm.
But I've read it a couple times, and fear means you're in the future. And it's some imagined future because future, as we know, hasn't happened yet. So that's helped me stay more grounded. If I go into fear, I go, oh, I'm not grounded. I'm not being in the present moment, which is
Right.
where all creation happens.
Right.
Right here, right now. So that the next week after the dreaming of creation, now it's time to take some action, but with optimism.
Mm-hmm.
Be optimistic about it. And if you find you're writing a bunch of negative stuff or doing negative stuff, well, look at it and go, okay, something I needed to look at and release, but let's not stay there. How do we rewrite this now or turn it around?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good exercise, I think, for the second week. So
I love
a lot
too
of
that,
momentum.
what's that? Sorry?
A lot of momentum
Oh
coming
yeah,
up
momentum.
this
Yeah.
week.
And I
Yeah.
love too that she is naked, which to me is just this vulnerability, like stepping into the newness. Let us release whatever guise we were wearing before and step into the new with that innocence and that freshness, right?
Yeah.
Which actually
Creative action optimism. I love it.
ties in beautifully because I pulled the Fool. So
Oh,
the 0 point, and again, this is like there's action in this, but it's stepping forward without the burdens of the past. And the Fool goes forward with a tiny little bag of goodies, and they go into situations that they've been into before, but without allowing them to color the way that they see the potential for going forward. So there is this feeling of innocence, of rebirth. There's this constant feeling of rebirth at the moment. Yeah. Well, like a phoenix being born from the ashes, right? Like the
well,
fire.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some decks have the Fool just, it's like stepping off a cliff, just
Right.
trusting that, you're trusting in that your next step is going to be there. So that's the other part about trekking through anything new, be it a pilgrimage or a trail you've never been on or life itself. You just keep going one step at a time and with optimism and creative action and
Yeah.
know that you're supported because the Fool for us and fun. The Fool means fun to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun and innocence, playfulness. And also, I love that, like, she's blowing a horn. And in your first card, in the Dreamer card, or
Mm-hmm.
Dreamtime card,
Yeah.
he was blowing
Yeah.
a horn. So it's like this creating through the innocence of our spirits, like through that groundedness, instead of creating from the past, which we have played over and over again anyway. Like, let's not do that anymore. Let's create something new together. It's beautiful.
Yes. So now let's see. We're on where are we? Week 2? Week 2.
3.
We are?
Yeah, because you're doing your theme card last, right?
Okay. We're not each doing one for the week?
Yeah, we've each done 2 already.
Oh, good grief. I'm so into my zone. Thank you. Keep me going. I thought it was week 3 and then I'm going, no, I'm not. That went fast. Boy, am I lost in time.
Apparently.
No, I mean daily.
Yeah.
Time is just like
I know what
crazy. Anyway,
how can it be
sorry
5
people.
o'clock? And then other days like,
Yeah.
what? It's only 11 o'clock. What am I doing? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been crazy. Okay. So
Okay.
card week 3. So now we're kind of in that full moon
phase, yeah.
full moon phase. It's right there between the fire fairy and forest, which is breath.
Oh, breath, that's beautiful.
So, which just goes along with creation, creative action. And then it's like you've got to surrender and release it and take a breath and let it unfold, and with no control. You can't control the outcome. And that's so the breath is so important. And so if you can't get out in nature, I mean, the forest is so healing, and not everyone lives near trees, and that's okay. But it's so I feel like the week after this full moon is going to be just kind of just let it shake out, shake down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't live near trees, you can send your love out to the trees who support us on the planet by creating oxygen, right? Like that's we can breathe because of the trees. So it's like this idea that we can just keep sending that love out there. Keep connecting. Oh, I feel so calm. I feel really, I could fall asleep, but I won't because we're still doing a reading.
Well, and the other thing is there's a lot of green there. So the forest and the green, it's all very healing. So the third week of this moon cycle, it will be more of a rest healing kind of period.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. Well, and that's interesting because I got the Chariot, which is number 7, which is about movement. But in a way that makes sense. It's like things are starting up again, right? Like movement can begin again. We've had this pause, we've had this time to rest. And after the full moon, there'll be choices. Do I go left? Do I go right?
Right. Take a breath. And
yeah,
the horses, they're kind of at rest, but they're ready. They're ready to go.
They're ready. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't feel anything more from that card. Usually I feel it just feels
I feel balanced too in that one. So it's like take a breath, but and chariots need balance because they're like two wheels, and then I liked the horses being dark and light. So it's a lot about take a breath, find your balance. Find your balance for
before you go, because she can make the choice, right? Like she's got the vehicle, she's got the means to move forward.
Right. And lucky number 7. I mean,
yeah,
you go wrong?
Exactly. And actually, it's probably right around April 7th anyway that's happening. So who knows? Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, so week number 4.
Week 4.
I got it right that time. Number 32.
Oh, partnership.
Partnership. So, well, isn't that a lovely card?
Yeah, it's
to remind us about partnership. And this speaks to stepping through, out, and remembering you're partnered. We all have so much help around us, and it's remembering that we live in, we have free will, free choice when it comes to guides and angels. If you work with guides and angels, and they need to be asked, you need to ask. And if you're not asking, well, they're not going to help as much as they could. So it's remembering partnership with our spirit guides, partnership going forward with family, with friends, with our communities, but it's about partnership instead of, you can still build partnerships even in solitude.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a strong reminder to not forget that even though we seem separate, the miracle of this time we live in is even in our solitude, we're still so connected via the internet and phones and all these kinds of things. So it's remembering our partnership with the planet, with the air we breathe, with everything. So partnership is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
on so many levels. So sorry.
No, that's good. It's good. I was just thinking about, yeah, like partnering and understanding that as we come through it, that there may be new opportunities for partnerships that we hadn't imagined before.
Oh,
Different
yeah,
types of partnerships arise
exactly.
that are going to
Yeah.
help us to shift the way we engage with the world. So it feels really empowering, that card. It feels very,
Well,
I
and the
just
thing
feel
with
so much
partnership,
peace.
yeah, and the thing with partnership is, yeah, this is a low stone wall, but if you hit a wall that doesn't have an opening or something, the thing with partnership is you can help each other over it and
Yeah, that's right.
around all kinds of obstacles.
Yeah,
So partnership is a nice thing.
it is a nice
And
thing.
you don't have to agree. You can agree to disagree and still be partners.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So,
Still have the same end goal, even if you don't agree on how to get there, or,
exactly.
and I got the Six of Water,
Oh,
which to me it's quite often a card of a sort of melancholy, but it actually just feels like reflecting, really deeply reflecting on what has gone before. And it actually speaks to me of this one. Like, it's okay to reflect on it, but we don't need to go back there because this is a time of going forward in the newness, right? We're surrendering all of that. But it's not always easy to surrender the things that you thought defined who you were or how you engage with the world. But it is just a time of sitting with it and feeling.
well, the cool thing about reflecting is you can reflect on what went before and learn the lessons and then leave it there,
Right,
discard it. Don't keep bringing it forward into the new.
right.
Bring the lessons forward, but don't bring all the baggage and such
Yeah.
with you.
Make it a memory, not a
Mm.
way of being, like, not a
Mhm.
pattern. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So
nice.
it overall it feels like quite like it feels very peaceful, but there's work to be done on an internal level. That's what it feels like. I feel like we all need to quite dig deep and examine our motivations, maybe our commitment to the life that we want to live, like our passions, all of that.
Well,
And
and
now
of course, my
Valerie's the
card goes
theme
right
card.
along.
Oh,
So
does
here's my theme, and so it's break the chain.
Oh, wow, very cool. Huh.
And yours was loss, but it's break the chain, and it's ancestral patterns and healing and rewriting the future. I mean,
Wow,
how powerful is that?
that's so perfect. Yeah, so it's like, look what we're moving from into, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And it really is a shift in perspective from loss to breaking the chain. It's the same thing, but it's a shift in perspective. It may look the same on the outside, but it's the inner shifts that you make that make it feel different.
Well, and the loss of ancestral patterns, the loss of all the old stories, the old hurts, the old pains, that's not a bad thing. Learn the lessons from them. You don't have to collectively forget them, but leave them back there.
Mm,
Don't keep remaking them, which is
yeah,
what humanity's been doing. And so by losing the ancestral patterns, the healing begins,
yeah,
which will happen in rewriting the future. So if the future hasn't happened, is it really being rewritten? I don't know. But, when you get that time isn't linear and all this stuff, who knows? We might be rewriting it.
well, we
But
are rewriting it because if you think about how people like to project into 50 years, the planet's going to look like this, and this will
oh, well,
happen
there
and
you
that
go.
will. I mean, we're rewriting that, right? Why
Yeah.
does it have to look like that? Do we have to believe that projection? No.
No,
There
no.
are infinite possibilities for what the future could look like, and we have no concept of what it is because we're not there yet.
I love the negative projections because my experience in my 60 years on the planet is the negative projections just give us the opportunity to shift them because we go, oh, hell no.
Yeah, I don't want that.
And it
Yeah,
really has shifted them.
yeah,
Um, so think how exciting it'll be when we do rewrite the future, as you said, and write the projections, you know,
differently.
in a beautiful, we used to be told that we were naive to dream of a world where everyone bartered and shared and coexisted and all this kind of stuff. And now we're learning that it might be the way to go. So,
Totally. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's
cool.
beautiful. Oh, what a lovely reading. I feel very like calm, but also prepared, you know? There's going to
Hmm.
be some depth to it in terms of like just going within and yeah, yeah, in a good way. But
Well, and that's going to be a big piece of this for people to go through this more easily is to go within, turn off the TV. Now
mhm,
I get you there are those you can turn it on for maybe 15 minutes, get the highlights, find a
mhm,
good source, get the highlights, and
yeah,
then no more. And just stop churning that energy. It's going to happen with or without us.
mm-hmm,
But with each of us putting our energy into creating the bigger picture of where we want to go, that's where the magic happens. And that's what we're being called to do right now.
yeah,
Enforced and unwilling, perhaps, and some are being drug and screaming, but
yeah,
so it's all good.
it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. And it's all for the greater good, really. Yeah. So
Well,
anyway,
thank you. It was
thank
wonderful.
you. And we'll see you again next month. I'll just stop recording.